Hey everybody. Welcome to Beast Overburden live stream. It's me, Nikki. And
And me, Andrew.
someday we'll figure this out.
Talking is hard.
So good to see you here on our live stream. We're really excited to do this again. And we're doing this now in February. And we wanted to speak about that kind of lull we see people experience after the hype of a new year, new start, new goals, um, and what to do to kind of get past that stage where you're just like, well, I'm working really hard, doesn't feel like things are changing very much, and do I really care about what I cared about in the beginning of the year?
Who are we talking about here?
Myself. We're talking about the thousands of clients who we've
Mm,
worked with and learned
yeah,
from.
I was just going to say that vent did sound a little familiar.
I'm empathetic. Yes, this is about things that keep us from succeeding to something or succeeding in something that, at one point we decided was really important to us. Um, so I thought we could talk about what it's like to go from hyped up beginning of the year to the kind of boringness of embracing the habits that actually make changes and
Hmm.
how to like continue to find the value in doing that. You know, refining what success looks like. We also polled our clients, our Barbell Logic clients, and to ask them how they get through these times. And we have so many good nuggets from them. I'm really excited about that. And before I forget, we have a discount code that I will share with you at the end of the episode, special for being here on the live stream with us. So that's what we're going to do today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started.
Well, you actually brought something up last night that was relevant to this topic when we were on our normal walk. We do 3 walks a day, even though it just feels like another effing walk. But they're so good for us,
I
and it's
don't.
time for us to bond and stop looking at our computers. And
I rode in college for 4 years, so literally did the same movement for hours at a time every
yeah,
single day. So I just sort of get into monotony, but I can also empathize that it feels repetitive.
hmm
I'm just kind of wired that way. But yeah, the thing I was reading, well, actually, there were two different things that I came across. One was somebody talking about 75 hard.
yeah, that's a big one. We hear about 75 hour a lot.
I've
75
definitely
hour a
had a
lot.
lot of
Yeah,
clients that are like, I'm doing 75 hard this year. And
yeah.
it was a social media post, and it was this guy basically saying, yeah, I did 75 hard last year, and it was great. Yeah, it was really more like 75 inconvenient, but the approach I think I've been taking this year is medium forever,
Love that.
or forever medium, or something
Forever
like that,
medium.
which is basically like instead of having these really sort of extremely inconvenient tasks that you're trying to accomplish every single day, what if you sort of just lowered the standard a little bit and did it forever?
Mm-hmm.
But essentially having still, like, for example, exercise once a day. But
Yeah.
that exercise could be walking, it could
Mm-hmm.
be lifting,
Mm-hmm.
or reading, could be actually reading or listening to a podcast, or
Mm-hmm.
instead of being completely, no alcohol, maybe no alcohol at home, but you
Mm-hmm.
have, if you're out to dinner with some friends, you have a drink or two. But it's sort of
Yeah.
like this middle of the road thing that you can do forever without feeling like you're on some,
Mm-hmm.
torturous path.
Yeah, that one was challenging, but I see was challenging like I did. It was challenging to think about doing. Um, I see the appeal of things like this,
Hmm.
75 hard and other challenges. I mean, we even have one that we started in January called Lean in 12, and
Hmm.
it's when you have so much just like built up urge to change, having something with a really clear structure is so enticing.
Sure.
And it sounds like what that guy was able to do was find the things that worked for him in a way that he can sustain it
I think of a
instead
lot.
of just like throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a bit like starting out with on your linear progression. You're doing 3 lifts, adding 5 pounds repetitively. You can do that for a while, and
Hmm.
I've talked about this before, thinking about it sort of like the wax on, wax off, paint the fence stage of training, where you're learning how to train, and then eventually, as you understand the rules, then you can start to bend or break them a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, I think that what resonated with me more than anything that is where my training's at right now is that the key for me to not stopping is to set my training up at a level that I can sustain with the amount of time and energy that I have right now.
Yeah.
So I'm still, it's borderline whether I would even consider what I'm doing training right now, but I'm not stopping.
Right.
I still lift multiple times a week, but it is at such a lower volume and intensity than I've kind of traditionally done, because that's where I'm at with life right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, by the average person standards, I'm still deadlifting over 500. I can still squat over 400 and benching 315 for reps, pressing a couple 100 pounds for reps. It's not that I'm wasting away, but for me, training right now is usually a couple of lifts 3-4 times a week, and then getting in some walks and some spin. So it's just like, for me, I joke that it's lowering the standard, which again, it doesn't really fit within the 75 hard or, go extreme all the time, which I relate to that being a catalyst for change. But eventually there are seasons that I think work better to lower your standards so that you can keep training. Because for
Yeah.
me, I have the fear of God in stopping,
Yeah.
like
Stopping
getting
is
started
brutal.
from a dead stop again.
Mm.
That motivates me every single time, because the
To never
very few
stop.
times that I've done it, which I don't think I've even gone more than a couple of weeks, it's just so brutal.
Yeah.
So much soreness.
Well, what about like you and I? We're pretty good at not stopping training.
Hmm.
What is something that you have a harder time sticking with?
That of doing.
Yeah, were there like periods during the year where you're like, all right, gonna buckle down or lock it in, dial it up, hone it in, and do blankety blank for something amount of time. And then like the hyped up motivation kind of wanes a little bit.
I just
It doesn't stick.
I have not felt motivation in so many years that it just doesn't. That's not how my brain processes it.
Hmm.
Like uh, it's a little bit more like I have these things that I need to accomplish within the time that I
Mm-hmm.
have, and the degree to which I do them changes.
Okay.
So it's not,
Mm-hmm.
am I going to do it or not? It's just, how all in am I going to be? And sometimes that's work, sometimes that's training, sometimes that's managing my nutrition. But I feel like I'm less in the mindset of like on or off the wagon, and
Mm-hmm.
more like dialing up how much I'm gonna,
Yeah, the intensity of it.
how much energy am I
For
gonna
sure.
allocate to whatever that is.
Yeah.
What One of the other things I was just reading last night that I thought is an interesting frame for that type of mindset is also uh, thinking about what is the impact of the smallest decision that I'm going to make today,
Hmm.
versus, again, like, oh, I'm going to go all in and do all these things. I have this conversation a lot with clients where they're like, I'm ready. I'm going to
Yeah.
count my calories. I'm going to do 4 hours of low intensity steady state a week. I'm going to train 4 days a week. I'm going to track, I'm going to use my fitness tracker. I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. And then they can do that for 2 weeks, and then
Yeah.
it just all falls apart.
Yeah.
And they just, like, nothing happens.
Yeah.
But if you flip that on its head and think of like the individual small decisions that you're going to make throughout the day, and how that can stack up to impacting your life over the long run, I, I, I find that kind of an interesting reframe for taking pressure off of feeling like you have to do all the things,
Mm-hmm.
and um, appreciating the impact of the small things. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's when you think about all this person you want to be who does the slow steady, who does the 4 days a week, who starts doing yoga out of nowhere, who starts tracking macros out of nowhere. Like, if you think of that person doing all those things, like it's a different person than who they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Maybe they can get to that, person, but it's the little choices, like you just said, like, okay, well, first I'm going to weigh my chicken.
Hmm.
Like the first time you start weighing and measuring, it is such an impact to your day.
Hmm.
So maybe you start weighing one meal,
Hmm.
and that can have it like weigh breakfast. It makes you so much more intentional just to like weigh a meal.
Hmm.
You start picking different foods. You do like single ingredient foods like fruits and vegetables and rice and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So the one little thing like that, when you have to look at all the little things that contribute to the big thing, that is like this pie in the sky situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, which becomes unattainable.
One thing I do like to do that's sort of in the on or off category is find habits or behaviors or decisions really that are relatively easy to turn off or on that have a huge return on that decision towards my goal, as well as what's the word I'm looking for? Reduce the number of decisions I have to make throughout the day.
Yeah,
So, like
totally. Yeah.
one that I like to do this time of year or in general as like an incremental step towards controlling my calories is making decisions that only apply during the weekday versus the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, if you're trying to be really rigid and
Mm-hmm.
control your diet tightly, you've got to focus on all 7 days of the week.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's incrementally moving you in the right direction to say, okay, at least during the week, I'm going to stick to this structure.
Mm-hmm.
And then pick what I like to do lately has been pick a metric that reflects the impact of those decisions. And as long as that metric is moving in the direction that I want,
Mm-hmm.
we're good. So, like for
Mm-hmm.
me, I track weight and waist, weigh in every morning, make a couple of decisions that move me in the right direction, and use weight and waste as like a feedback mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that stops working, then I need to make the next level of decision. But it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm having to do everything all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, you might eventually, and if I were to keep doing this, it might turn into tracking all of my calories, 4 hours of cardio, lifting
Mm-hmm.
4 days a week, and doing all of those things. But I can MED my way in building decisions
Mm-hmm.
that aren't things I have to decide every single day. It's like
Yeah.
one reason I've found myself not liking jumping straight into tracking is that I end up feeling like most of the time I'm tracking the same thing because, again, I'm a repetitive enjoyer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll literally eat the same thing 3, 4 times a day, whatever.
Yep. Can confirm.
But uh, not snacking
Mm-hmm.
or weighing my protein might be just like an incremental step in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as long as the weight and waist are moving in the direction that I want, that's enough fidelity
Mm-hmm.
for me to move forward. And then again, at some point I'm going to hit some sticking point, and I'll be like, okay, I need to add more cardio or add more discipline.
Yeah. Well, something that I'm picking up and really like what we wanted to talk about was like to keep your movement forward, to keep progress happening. It might mean that the circumstances aren't supporting your initial goal and
Mm-hmm.
or you being successful. So you change your expectations, like you said. You can change the amount of decisions you have to make so that it feels like less of a burden. And then you adjust, like, or you have to really think about how important is this to you?
Mm.
Because for some people, it will be wildly important that after 3 months, they have lost 15 pounds
Mm-hmm.
and 2 inches on their waist.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if that is still wildly important to you, it's not going to be about changing your expectations
True.
or like dialing it down. It's going to be kind of doubling down.
Sure.
And so, for if you're in that school, then I think it's helpful to go back and think about why those metrics, those changes in your metrics were so important and what you want to feel by changing those.
Mm-hmm.
And then, continue to, celebrate the consistency because that is
Mm-hmm.
what's actually going to do it.
For
Enough
sure.
consistency that you have enough data to make changes when you need to make changes
Mm-hmm.
and to make those changes precisely. So it's like,
Yeah.
is this still really important to you? Yes or no? If it is, keep working really hard.
Yeah.
And then if it isn't, then maybe you just need to adjust the intensity at which you're doing this to really meet you where you're at.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your context versus mine, for example, like you are much leaner than I am, have a much higher training volume right now, and a very specific outcome. Uh, I think you're further down that path. The context that you're in is further down that path than mine, and that discipline becomes a higher
Mm-hmm.
or a more important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Discipline. And I was thinking, so I asked myself the question that I asked you. It was like, I love training. I love doing this. Like, no one has to
Hmm.
tell me to go work out.
Right.
But there are other things that there's at least one thing that I know that I wasn't as good at before. Like, and that was like saving money and being intentional with money.
Mm.
And so you can be disciplined for a short amount of time. You can be really excited about the goal, but if you don't have the right structure and tools that work for you, it's less likely to be successful. So,
Mm.
like, I started using YNAB, and we've talked about this. You recommended it to me. And that's a structure that works for me because little decisions feel like wins really often.
Hmm.
And I end up feeling like I'm in control. And so I'm not a victim of my overspending.
Hmm.
I take responsibility for like, I'm putting all that money into shoes and that money's coming from somewhere else.
Mm.
But like, I'm, I've become much more in control of that. Whereas,
Hmm.
like a decade ago, it didn't feel like that. But there were many times when I was just frustrated and felt like nothing was working.
Hmm.
So having the discipline and then having the tools in place that actually make you successful, I think is really important to do your research
I think it would be really
on.
interesting. I should talk to what's up, Riley? I think it would be interesting to talk to Jesse about creating a YNAB from macros.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, rather than entering all your stuff in and then at the end of the day, did you make it or not? Like choosing to assign your macros to different meals and then eating it.
Every macro has a job.
Yep.
Yeah. So, ooh, I think we should actually read some of our. Okay, let's get some advice from our clients because these are the folks who we have worked with.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of these responses have come from people who we've worked with for like 1,000 workouts, which is a really long time. So we asked them, what was our exact question? Doot, 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 doot. How do you what advice do you have to like maintain motivation and maintain your training? Um, I like this one. Motivation comes and goes. It's natural to have ups and downs. I just remember that I'm doing this so I can have the strength and ability to stay active and keep up with my granddaughter. I don't want to be the grandma that just sits at home. Life is an adventure, and I want to continue to have the strength to take part in it for as long as I can. Like, that is such a, it's an example of something you can feel. Like, she's imagining herself sitting on the couch, not being able to participate in the lives of her grandchildren. And so every day, whether she wants to or not, when there's a training day on the schedule, she gets it done.
Mm.
And like, that's discipline, but it's also, I think it's motivation from something that feels very visceral and like that is life to her.
I just had a call with a client, came back after taking a little break.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting talking to her because I'm hearing more people signing up for that reason,
Yeah.
to train for longevity or to maintain quality of life later in life. And it was interesting to me because she was originally motivated by losing body fat
Mm-hmm.
and recomposition, and strength training to her seemed like and was an enjoyable way of going about that. But with GLP-1s, she was able to accomplish that goal without
Mm-hmm.
needing to work out quite as much.
Mm-hmm.
But so her initial why, she kind of had to go through a little bit of a transformation or kind of reframing her why, because that was kind of the big fuel
Yeah.
for working out for so many years, like years
Mm-hmm.
and years and years. And she eventually landed on this exact idea,
That's
which is
cool.
like understanding, especially with GLP-1s, that resistance training was going to be critical for holding on to muscle mass, and training needed to continue to be part of her life
Mm-hmm.
for that exact reason.
Yeah. And this next one here, I can't get stronger if I miss a training session. At 68, I need every session I can get in. Not to make this like kind of grim, but at a certain point, you know, you only have so many more training sessions.
Well,
Like,
it's been
not like
interesting.
68 old. You're actually still pretty young.
I've been working with my dad for almost, I think it's coming up on like 10
Oh,
years.
wow.
Yeah, he's up
I
there
didn't know
now.
that. Holy moly.
I think the first
Oh,
time I
that's
coached
cool.
him was 10 years ago.
Okay.
But I don't think I started actually like writing his program and
Uh-huh.
having him work in TKC until maybe 5 or
Man,
6 years
speaking
ago.
of being down with doing the same thing over
Dude,
and over.
over and over. Very repetitive. I keep asking him for, like, should we do some variation? No, same list. But anyways, he, on that note, I've definitely noticed now that he's 74, 75, one of the biggest differences is how much the reset is when he takes time off. So he
Oh,
like has to,
okay. Okay.
that idea of like you
Mhm.
miss a session, it's a big reset. And
Yeah.
the older you get, it seems like the faster it goes.
Yeah.
Big, again, another big reason motivating to not stop.
Yeah, like you want to be resilient and you're when you train more, you really notice when you're feeling able-bodied and when you're not.
Mm,
And so to keep that window of resilience as like robust as you can,
yeah.
that's definitely a motivator for me.
Sadly,
Yeah.
the amount of time it takes for your body to be like, man, I stopped doing all that work for 20 years, but now that you've taken 3 days off, we're just going to go ahead and stop caring about that tissue.
Yep, I guess that's not important to us anymore. Let's find some let's find some snacks. Like that's what we do now.
We'll snack on your muscle.
Oh, there was another one. Okay, this is really interesting. Your why has to be bigger than your why not. I think that's a really
I wasn't
interesting
exactly
phrase.
sure where that was going to go. But
I was on a hike with my late wife. She had type 1 diabetes and a glycemic low that was and she had a glycemic low that was nearly unconsciousness. Wow. We were about a mile away from the car and I realized I wasn't strong enough to get her back to the car if she couldn't walk on her own. We made it back, but my strength had been the deciding factor. I couldn't have made it happen at that point. So I hired a strength coach and over many years got a lot stronger. I'm not breaking any records, but he now I can handle something like that and I'm stronger than most of my peers who lift casually or don't lift.
you know,
Man.
that quote makes me think of Bilbo Baggins.
Why was
Why shouldn't I?
it's mine? Why shouldn't I keep
his,
it?
his, why, his why was bigger than his why not.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this one, like you just said, I always remind myself how much harder it is to restart.
100%.
Yes, yeah, for real. That's a big one. Okay, so here's an interesting one. The easiest way to reach a goal is to be consistent. We have a podcast episode on that.
Hmm.
If you keep restarting, you'll never get there. Like, seriously, I really want people to hear that because it comes up really often in clients, calendars across the year as like, they're gone for a month and then we're restarting again. But
Yeah.
what if you had 4 sessions in that time that was different than usual? Then you're not starting from nothing.
I relate to that
Yeah.
with that approach I was just talking about, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to start with a week,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually the weekends start becoming a reset. Too big a
Yeah.
reset. Like the last
Yeah.
2 weeks, weight's going down Monday through Friday, and then it's like almost a reset. The only thing I'm talking myself off the ledge, like that I'm still doing like directionally correct, is that I'm still like by Friday less than I was the previous Friday.
No, still counts.
So it's progress,
Yeah.
but it's pretty soon here. I have to actually like go
Dial it in
for the
further.
whole weekend. So I'm just gonna keep resetting, like make progress, reset.
This one's cool. He says, in my head I had a goal for the squat to someday reach 315 for a single. Once I got there, I had a new goal of 315 for 3. Once I got there, 315 for 5. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Eventually, with my coach, I made it to a single at 425. That's
Dang.
awesome. Granted, due to left shoulder mobility, I use a Mars bar. That's fine. So maybe an answer is to make shorter goal jumps so you achieve success earlier than with the large ones. That's cool. At 68 years of age, I don't back in life.
Dang.
Don't bounce back like you used to. Wow, that is
68
really
and
cool.
hitting 425 on the squat.
When he goes skiing for a week, his coach deloads the training.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like a fun life. Yeah.
425 at 68 is impressive.
Oh yeah.
That's some long-term goals for me. Stephen Lally.
Well, I like how like he speaks to how he makes it work for him. So when I go skiing for a week, my coach deloads me just a bit. Even that time off results in a hit to strength.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I just make sure I get in every session I possibly can. Some days the warm up is difficult as the energy just isn't there.
Yep.
But by the time I get to the work set, I'm good. I've also found that I need to train in the morning. If I wait to the evening, I'm tired and don't want to train. Others may need to flip that. So you figure out how to make it work for yourself. Like
Yeah.
that's having tools. Like that's what his coach will help him do. Like you can still do it this way and be successful.
And I think that's
Um,
what focusing on the habits or your process is,
mhm.
to me, that's like, so setting those, I would call those like medium term goals. And
Mhm.
some of them are long term goals. I mean, I'd be stoked to squat 425 right now. But what's the habit I'm going to do today
Mhm.
is a version of that, setting a near term goal, a short term
Yeah.
goal that
Mhm.
moves you in that direction.
Medium for today.
Medium forever.
That's fun. Um, what's another one? Daily choices create sustainable change.
There we go.
Love that.
There we go.
Planning meals. Every day, aim to move the needle 1% forward. Trusting that small progress adds up. Yes, that's such
Cheryl,
a good one.
crushing
Cheryl.
it.
Preach, Cheryl.
This is a coach and a client,
Cheryl?
Jeremiah.
Oh, Jeremiah. Jeremiah. Why don't you read Jeremiah's?
If you want to make a change that lasts, you have to change your environment.
Mm.
Make whatever you want easier to access and whatever you don't want harder to access.
Mhm.
If there is any way to reduce friction in getting you to do that thing, do it. If you want to eat more protein, remove low protein options from your home. Prepare batches of cooked protein ready to eat at a moment's notice, 100%. Have it available everywhere, at work, at home, in the car. Have a shelf stable options as well as fresh. Plan ahead when you go out. Look for menu options with high protein entrees and so on. This works with lifting consistency goals too. Find a gym closer to home. Get weights in your home. Make it too easy to do the thing you want to do and harder to do the things you can't.
That's so good.
What I also like about this is you can also take the incremental or minimum effective dose approach here.
Mm-hmm.
Such a simple example for me is just moving beer from the refrigerator to the garage
Yeah.
makes it far enough away that I'm just like,
And we don't have beer. I don't drink
I
beer.
guess we're out.
Yeah.
It's just like out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. Put the cookies in the back shelf or make it just a little bit harder to get.
Mhm.
And then, those decisions just get easier.
Yeah.
And put the protein in the front of the shelf.
Yeah.
Protein is huge. Like for me, the biggest difference in my day for hitting my protein goal is whether or not I have cooked meat in the
Yeah.
fridge. Like
Have
if
to do a big batch of
I
chicken.
need to do the big batch of chicken or
Mhm.
salmon or steak, I'm a huge fan of cooking way more than you're going to eat for dinner or whatever, and having that left over for the rest of the week.
Mhm.
Huge game changer.
As I was listening to this, I'm remembering all the places I have RX bars stashed. I continue to find them in my jacket pockets.
Yeah.
I found like 6 the other day in my travel backpack, like some in my suitcases, I have one in my car. I have found one in my purse. And that's because I turn into such a grumpy grump if I don't have a snack.
Mm.
And Andrew is always like, "Did you bring an emergency
Yeah,
snack?
you gotta
Did you
have
bring an
at
emergency
least
snack?"
2 RX bars before you leave the house.
Let's see this one from Guido. Committing to investing in a professional coach in November of 2021 made a huge difference in my consistency. I believe that it's best to take the long term view and be process oriented versus outcome oriented. I
Yep.
bet you like how this one
Yep.
sounds. Although I'm still chasing numbers going into my 5th year of being coached by Carl Shute, I recognize that at a certain point I'll have to start stripping weight from the bar.
Mm.
So I'm grateful to be able to train hard at any age, no matter the weight on the bar. Just to be able to lift heavy weights regularly is a gift, yeah. Especially when I go to the gym and see people of all ages who aren't used anywhere close to the weights I use. Hell yeah. Even at 65. I tell myself I don't want to be trapped in a chair to be unable to get off the couch unassisted.
I legitimately believe that you can strength train probably for your entire life and still be able to walk into the average gym and be stronger than most people at the gym.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it's really, I think, until the very end. You know, like Sully's compressing the morbidity window. You just
Mm-hmm.
go until that's when
Just having a great day,
yeah.
and then you're just like, I'm out. It was
Peace.
awesome.
Before we go on, I'm curious. We got a few people live. If there's anybody out there, drop a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Take advantage of this. Curious who's still listening, hanging in there.
Mm-hmm. What has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you?
Yeah.
I have found comparing myself to other people does not work for me.
Including
That
your
makes me,
past
including my
self.
past me.
Mm.
I feel it takes a lot of mental energy to be like, that girl was rad. This person's rad too. I know that sounds so cheesy, but it does take me a lot of energy to appreciate like what I've done in the past without needing to be that right now and still, knowing that I'm working hard and, things just change.
Yeah, definitely been feeling that more lately.
Yeah.
I can still, what I like to do with that though is just look further back. Like, I can't, if I compare myself to like prime Andrew, then I start getting a little bit sad. But I can still look back at like 30-year-old Andrew.
Yeah.
Like, still stronger than that version.
That's true. If I look back at it was like a set of 5 at 265 deadlift and I was super doughy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Someday I'll be like, still could kick 8-year-old Andrew's.
Oh,
ass.
for sure. He doesn't
Like,
stand a
and
chance.
just slap him around.
Have fun of your paper route, nerd. One more from my client. You have to be strong for the arena of life, which I love that. So
Most
this guy,
extreme sport
so
in life.
cool. He works in the ICU, trains regularly, travels, goes on these really fun vacations with his wife and hangs out. Sometimes his grandson is in the gym with him. But he sent me a video the other day because he had to help his friend clear giant trees from his yard. So he's in his 60s, picked up like a huge tree log. And like his friend can rely on him to come and help with that. I thought that was so rad.
I was on this coaches call this morning, the Real Coaches Summit call, or the Real Coaches call that Aram puts on. And he had one of his clients on speaking to the group. And Aram was talking about the other day, he got a text from him was saying like, hey, does shoveling snow count for cardio? And it was like, well, what's your heart rate at? And he's like, 130. It's like, well, if you do it long enough, yeah. And he's like, okay, well, I'm doing it for 2 hours. And he's like, why are you shoveling snow for 2 hours? And the guy just said, because I can. And a lot of my motivation is just to see what I can do.
Oh.
And so it was like a physical feat, which I can relate to. It's like.
That's what I did at the Business of Strength event with the deadlift.
That's right. Yeah. Just see what you can do.
The competition was over and we just kept going.
Kept going.
Because we were all like, more.
The chin up competition at the Grid League.
Yep. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun to be able to say, yeah, I'm going to give that a shot.
I can do that.
Yeah. Anything else here? No, I think that's actually pretty good. Ooh, we got a couple questions. All right. Interesting competitors here showing up.
Okay.
He says, I'm a 55, soon to be 56-year-old competing in master's level powerlifting meets. Last year I did 4 meets in 13 months. Wow. The last one was in November. Coming off that meet, I was pretty banged up, and I noticed my recovery is a bit slower, a few more aches and pains. I have been doing an off-season power building program and will be competing again in June. Any suggestion on exercises, duration, etc., that would help recovery now before I begin prep, which is in 9 weeks for me? I'm only doing 2 meets this year. Well, without seeing the program, it sounds like you really just need to not do very much right now, honestly. Like 3 days a week, don't deadlift very frequently.
Yeah,
I think I would take the frequency down.
Here's depending on how you approach it, I would actually, that far away from a competition, move the exercises as far away from the main movements as possible, while still being able to train relatively hard.
It's like doing belt squats or safety bar
or
squats,
leg presses
leg
or
press.
leg extensions. I mean, this is kind of maybe when you would do the bodybuilding
Yeah.
phase where you could do a lot of accessory
Mm-hmm.
movements that take a pressure off your joints, takes pressure off your spine,
Mm-hmm.
um, and allows you to still train but not load the joints and the ligaments quite so much.
Yeah.
Um, you still may want to keep the barbell, the main lifts in at some frequency,
Mm-hmm.
but not as something you're trying to drive
Yeah.
constant progress. Granted, at 55, soon to be 56, you probably do still want to stay in touch with the movements.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Yeah.
could lower the frequency and the intensity of the main lifts. Um, I wouldn't worry too much about deadlift at all. To be
Yeah,
honest,
your
like
deadlift seems to hang out a long
squat,
time, even at 56.
like the
Yeah.
skill of squatting, and there's something about loading that range of motion and the eccentric component of the
Mm-hmm.
squat that I think is useful to keep in the program.
Yeah. Also, if you stop squatting, you might realize that it's really hard and not fun. You might never come back to it.
But shift the program a little bit more towards you know call it a hypertrophy block or whatever. This is why block periodization I think
Yeah.
becomes popular,
Mm-hmm.
not because it's like magic or some optimal program. It's just that at some point when you've been competing, I mean, that is a ton of meats. Like
Yeah.
that's about
Even
as
for a young
yeah.
young spring chicken. Yeah.
You really like that many meets in a year basically is about as frequent as anybody would want to go. So you've been competing, you've been holding your body basically at competition level intensities for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a break, still train, but find something that gets blood moving through your body, doesn't load the spine quite as much or
Mm-hmm.
just the joints as much,
Mm-hmm.
while still being able to build muscle
Yep.
and recover and give
Yeah.
yourself, a break basically
Yeah.
psychologically too.
Yeah. The recovery will do wonders.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's been high stress for so long, you'll be okay doing that,
Yep.
for a few weeks. Yeah.
Got a
I hope
question
your meets go
from
well.
Linda. Age 72, been lifting with barbells for 4 years,
Thanks.
trying to deal with reality. I know I will lift for the rest of my life, but how can I expect that top weight to flatten out, flatten off?
Yeah. So I think something that's helpful to remember is that when you first start lifting, your progress is very much up and to the right at a really fun rate. And then at a while, it like flattens off, no matter what age you are. So, Linda, like flattening off is part of the equation for anybody. And eventually, like it'll start to, like you said, someone else said that they kind of end up taking weight off of the bar at a certain age. But know that whatever weight you're at now and next year is way more than it was 10 years ago.
Mm.
So you have already invested in your strength 401k, and now you're really getting to live off of it. And so if the weights are, 10% lower, that's still what your body is going to be capable of at that time.
Mm.
And you're like really getting to reap the rewards of what you've invested in physically for the last 4 years.
Yeah, what I noticed with my dad coaching him through that same kind of age range was he peaked, let's see, when was that? It was like 2020, 21, so like 5 years ago. It would have been right around 69, 70 years old. He was still hitting like lifetime PRs. And I haven't, it has been over the last 4 or 5 years, it seemed to have basically flattened out.
Okay.
Or really more realistic way to describe it. What I've noticed is during those breaks, actually, is like I was talking about earlier, those breaks, he kind of keeps resetting more.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's able to keep basically resetting an LP, but then he'll take 2 weeks off to, summer vacation or travel, holidays. He prioritizes golf in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so the point that he gets back to just seems to be getting a little bit lower every time. He's 75 now, 74.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of part of the process. But the thing about the way that we approach training is it always feels like he's progressing from wherever he was. So he'll come
Yeah.
back from vacation. Maybe the number starts a little bit lower. Maybe he doesn't get quite a bit as much higher, but we're still incrementally adding weight. for the whatever period of time he's training.
Yeah.
Still feels like he's making progress.
Mm-hmm.
And I would throw in another X factor there. It also depends on what kind of supplementation that you're willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's, consult your doctor. We're not medical professionals, but there
Or
are
consult the dark web, whatever.
there are hormone therapies that can really kind of help extend that window. But um, how can I expect that top weight to flatten off? I think that's what I was just describing is what I have experienced having coached people in that age range.
Mm-hmm.
The top end just kind of keeps going down, and the starting point keeps going down as well. But
Mm-hmm.
it's gradual though. As long as you're consistent, then you don't get those huge resets.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do get a reset, or injury or something like that, I have also experienced that it does reset, but it comes back. And
Mm-hmm.
and being patient with that process, I think, is really valuable.
Patience, man, that's tough.
Yeah.
It's hard being patient.
Mm. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons getting back from taking a break is so hard because
You know where you were.
yes, it's
Yeah.
very tempting to jump back in,
Yeah.
which can often be actually slow you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that from coming back from an injury.
That's one of the reasons I like the Guido comment about focusing on the process versus the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I actually put this in my, I think I've talked about this story before. It was around 4 or 5 years into training. I put it in my log. I was just kind of sitting there thinking about my training and thought, well, what if I told you the weight on the bar doesn't even matter? The number on the bar.
This is the red pill moment of lifting.
It was like the red pill moment of lifting. The weight on the bar is a tool
Mm-hmm.
for the process and the purpose of training. It has meaning in that it reflects your ability to produce force, and yes, it can be motivating and inspiring to pursue a PR.
Mm-hmm.
But the more valuable meaning is the process that you're putting your body through the stress recovery adaptation process to build muscle, hold on to muscle, and challenge your body so that it doesn't just wither away.
Yeah. Withering away does not sound fun. Well, we have an announcement of a new way to experience some Barbell Logic fun.
Okay.
Were you gonna
I was gonna
make
go.
a
I was
sound?
gonna try to do.
That is not an orc horn.
Burp.
Well, we're excited because Matt has a new project coming out. Matt Reynolds, CEO founder. It's called Mondays with Matt, where Matt Reynolds is going to be answering your coaching questions on Monday mornings. If you want to make sure you see this, subscribe to the Barbell Logic YouTube channel, youtube.com/barbelllogic. And you'll be seeing him on Monday the 16th is when it's starting. But make sure and just hit the subscribe button in case we need to adjust that start date. But that should be really interesting to have some combos with him. And finally, if you've made it through this long and you are not a client of ours yet, we'd love to work with you. And we are giving you a free month if you use the discount code LIVE for free. LIVE, the number 4, free. Use that. You get a free month of working with us. And even just 1 month is super useful.
Well, I just realized I can share these. Like when I was reading Linda's quote, I could have shared this.
Oh,
That's cool.
that is really cool.
Well, for next time.
Next time. We learn something every day. Oh my God. Okay. Thanks for being here with us. Really loved having you with us and for submitting so many questions. And for all of our clients who submitted advice, like we should make a calendar. There are a lot of gems. There are like 20 we didn't even get to. So if you want to know what those are, feel free to email me. You can email me at nsims@barbell-logic.com.
Bye-bye.
Bye.